So, if you joined me for the first half Babble, then this is the second half Babble. Like I said when I ended the vlog yesterday, it was a 46-minute conversation I had with you guys about everything you can possibly imagine. And I thought might have to split it up into two, but I won't know till I edit it. But I figured I'd add the beginning now and an ending now, and we'll see if we need them. So here is the rest of what I have to say. Why are you guys listening? I don't know. Do you ever feel lost? Not lost in your own skin. I don't ever really feel lost in my own skin. I am so arrogant when it comes to my beauty, you guys. You have no idea. But do you ever feel lost, like, what am I supposed to do today? I need coffee. That's what it is. I sit down, I drink my water, I come in here, I grab the camera, I talk to you for 23 minutes, and I don't even have coffee with me. Somebody asked me to share my tea experience, my teas, my favorite teas, and how I prepare tea, which I think I'm going to do with you guys. I was asked to, I kind of tried it. This is why I kind of try to do what you ask me right away, because I forget. And even if I write them down, then I forget where I wrote them down. Oh, okay. So I was just telling somebody, Allison, who sent me all that wonderful craft stuff, that I gave away all my beading stuff. I started taking beading classes with my friend Joyce, and actually took beading classes in Homemakers from Joyce. But I started to get into beading with her. Now, just like the embroidery and the quilting, I get like the little carpal tunnel numbness in my hand when I work like finely like that. So I wasn't really doing it very much anyway, but I would do it like if I had a present that I made for somebody who likes beads or necklaces or whatever. But mostly it was about, I kept my beading stuff. It was like for jewelry repair. Somebody would come to me and say, hey, they need this, this, and this, and I would repair their jewelry. Okay. So I went to St. Louis on Tuesday with Aunt Sue. We went to the Weldon Springs Women Connection from Stonecroft Ministries. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but it's basically just a group that, you know, does charity work throughout the world and throughout the country. One of the things that they had, the speaker there was a woman from an inn, well, I don't want to misquote it, but what they had asked is for donations. They asked for toiletries, they asked for bath rugs, they asked for jewelry making, which was the only thing on the whole list that wasn't like a self-care item. So I asked her, she said, I think they make jewelry and they sell it to raise money for the thing. And I said, you know, it sparked I'm not using my jewelry stuff. These women could really use this jewelry stuff. So I had moved all my jewelry stuff to one of the new black wicker baskets, the black woven baskets that I got at Dollar General. And I said, you know what? I talked to Jimmy and I said, would you care if I gave this away? I went through it. I only pulled out the 2 items that I had actually made, like projects that I had already done. I went through and I was thinking like, oh, maybe I would just save a few things. I didn't. I just ended up giving it away. What I did keep was my jewelry repair, my tools basically, because those I have been using over the years. People say, can you fix this for me? So, I mean, they weren't a very expensive set anyway. And I know that the girls really just need the beads and stuff because the people, they have the tools. The tools are permanent. The beads, you know, you sell and stuff. So what I found out is they have a program called Pay It Forward where they learn how to make jewelry and they sell it and to get money for the next women who come in, which was really It was a beautiful story. It really was a beautiful story. So I felt really good about doing that. So I now have an empty basket, an empty bin, and what am I going to do with it? Yeah, maybe clean off the couch. It looks terrible, but it really is not that. So this basket here, which, can you see this, is a basket of bins that I'm using for like organizing, and in that is the stuff that I buy that's like gifts. I know women have gift baskets in their closet. My closet needs to be redone still, but it's like you know, like here's the peach hand lotion, like here is the you know, the heart stuff, like basically things that are just would be gifts. That's where I keep them, in here, in that basket. And this is the paint bucket I still haven't gone through. And then there is just, that's Christmas correspondence. When I get, when I got Christmas cards from everybody, I put the Christmas cards up and I keep their envelopes till I make sure I have the addresses written down and that kind of stuff. And my Christmas labels, like my stuff that I'm sending out, like, you know, labels for stuff. And then Jim's wolf. It's really not that bad. So he comes in here and he's like, ugh, and I'm like, what? It's not bad. What are you making faces for? It's just not empty like it was when it was his office. So he doesn't. I said, just take a second. It's not bad. And he goes, okay, I see it. It's not bad. So I don't know how much of this vlog is going to be usable. Just make faces into the camera. Oh. When Jim and I first got married, and even before I met Jim, I started collecting children's books. I started when I was about 20. Again, I knew I wanted to have lots of children. And my cousin they had this, I don't know, Miles Kimball, I feel it was called, but that's not it. There was a home, like a Tupperware type party, but they sold books, and my cousin was doing that, and I bought a bunch. And then when I was a nursery school teacher, I stocked up on the favorite books that I love to read. I had The Very Hungry Caterpillar in every form. Like I had the board book, and I had the paper book, and I had the big board book, and I had every miniature paper book, miniature board, you name it, I had it. Because I love, that's one of my favorite stories, and it was like a collector thing, so it was more like that. But I had books and books and I had boxes and boxes of the books that all got destroyed. That's not funny, but I was thinking about like doing a second channel where I did, you know, Miss Jeri's Circle Time, which is what we had at the nursery school. We would sit down and do singing and read books and nursery rhymes and that kind of stuff at Circle Time. And I thought I would do that. I miss it. The opportunity to get down on the floor twice a week or whatever, which would be great, exercise. But I realized I don't have any of the books. So I might go to the public library and see what they have that I can borrow and read. But I just thought that would be fun. That'd be a fun thing to do. But it made me, not melancholy, but it made me really think about one of the things that I had lost. You know, I had a lot of books. It was really weird. We kept saying that people during the hurricane had thrown their boxes. They would just take entire tubs full of stuff, including the plastic tub, and taken it out to the curb. So Jim and I were trying to like run to the Home Depot on the North Shore to try to find these plastic tubs to store our stuff in, because now we had to like move all our stuff. And people were just throwing their tubs out. So it was like bizarre to us. But the stuff that we had in the room that got destroyed, three of them were boxes of books. And by the time we had gotten to them, we couldn't get the books out because the water had swelled up the paper, and it had basically like vacuumed in the thing. So it was tough getting them out, but we eventually did. But in this process, it wasn't like we had them in a cardboard box. We just took the whole cardboard box to the curb. In this process, we saw all the books that we'd lost. I had interior design books and curtain books, like had them, you know, curtain pattern books, and cake. Oh my gosh, my cake decorating books, all of them gone. I had not collected, but I had bought the Wilton yearbook. Wilton, the cake decorating company, or the cake pan company, had come out with a cake decorating book. I don't even know for how long, but I started getting them in like 1991 or 1990. I can't remember if my sister... I think it was 1991, because I think it was when my sister was pregnant, and then we started making cakes. But then I had every yearbook for like till like 2000 or whatever. So I had like 10 or 15 of them, and they all got ruined and destroyed. Well, the saddest book that got ruined was my dad had the Audubon Society Book of Birds, and it was this big giant fat book that he had, that I used to look through prints. Like I used to love just to like flip through, because I love birds. And that was probably one of the saddest. That wasn't a photo album, because I had 4 or 5 photo albums that got wet, and I just ended up peeling the pictures off and letting them dry. My house for a long time, and the apartment even, looked like photo drying station, paper drying station. We take all the lids to all of the totes that we had, and we had like laid out all of the covers, and all the covers had papers and photos all drying out, you know. It's a tough time, but we got through it. I tell everybody in a personal conversation that the toughest time, yes, the loss was tough, but what was really hard is it was November, and everything was wet and freezing. It actually had snowed the day before I got home. Was able to go home. And the second day after I was able to go home, it snowed. That's what it was, on November 3rd or something. We got snow, and it was freezing because there was no heat. You know, we lost our oil burner. I'm not oil burner. We didn't have an oil burner. We had a boiler, like a heater, and our hot water heater both got destroyed because they had gotten water damage. And it took a while for the money plus to find the equipment. You know, like you wait for the grant from the government, but then you actually have to find who has one available. Because one of the things people don't realize, and I know this is going to sound stupid because it's obvious, but I don't know that it's obvious to everybody. Let me take that back. One of the things you don't realize is that people who all lived on the South Shore, like maybe 10,000 cars got destroyed because they got water damage, right? But you know what else got destroyed? All of the car dealerships on the South Shore. So there was no, like there were a limited amount of cars to buy to replace your broken car, if that makes sense. Well, the same thing goes with hardware stores. You know, all of the, you know, there was all of the flooring, all of the appliances all got lost for all these people on this, you know, these 10,000 people on the South Shore all lost all of their appliances and their hardwood floors, but so did the hardware stores. So, as you can imagine, it was a difficult time, because it was not just like who has a generator, it was who has a generator that didn't get destroyed in the flood. You know, that's sort of like something you don't always think about. So, I would share that with you. But so by the time we actually got a hot water heater, which is what came first, I was able to finally clean with hot water. but there still was no heat on my ground floor, because though the heat was gas and pipes, they didn't want us to go through it. They didn't want us to, okay, they didn't want us to heat the house because the electrical system that worked the thermostat. So we couldn't actually like run the heat to the house. But before that whole thing, years before that, we had to make extra heat. My father would put on the stove and put a hot pot of hot water on the stove, and put on the oven. So I was able to turn on the oven and put hot water on the stove, so it created a little bit of heat and gave me some hot water to clean with at first before we had the hot water heater going. But it was very cold, like very cold. I have pictures where I have like my sweater zipped up to here, and I'm like in layers and layers. And one of the things I told, if you ever have this situation and it's cold, even if it's not freezing like it was, even if it's just cold, I took one of those one-size-fits-all stretchy gloves. Then I took a rubber glove, and then I took a one-size-fits-all stretchy glove, and I put it over it, because you don't want the water to get through to your hands, but the sweat that it can accumulate between your skin and the rubber glove can get cold too. So I put the cloth glove underneath the rubber glove so that it would keep my hands warm inside the gloves. And we cleaned whatever we could. We cleaned everything we could to save whatever we could. And we saved quite a bit. I didn't know at the time that we didn't have insurance, or that insurance wouldn't cover it, or what insurance would cover. And I didn't know what kind of assistance we'd get from the government, because this was our first rodeo, But I just really was more about sentimental attachment to things, It took me such a long time to find a black round pedestal table that I liked, that I wanted my whole life. And there was no way I was letting the flood take that. It was like heavy duty, massive. However, the movers lost the pedestal, so I still have the tabletop, because I'm still hopeful that someday it'll be on Craigslist or something. But they don't sell the one that I bought anymore, so it's hard to find. And definitely not at a price that I can afford. But it's stuff like that. So it was sentimental. It was my tray tables, the black tray table from the living room tour and the table that sits next to me were both in the flood. They both were cleaned on day 3, gotten rid of all the bacteria and were inspected. There was some stuff that did make it. I had these nesting tables. Do you know what nesting tables are? So they're like, one's big and then one's like a little shorter and it slides underneath, and one's a little shorter and slides underneath that. I had a set of those. They didn't survive because they were inexpensive, and the legs were particle board and expanded and that kind of stuff. So I had an electric Amish fireplace. We have one now. This is actually Mom's, but my sister had sent one to my dad, and it was in the flood and it got destroyed. I had my entertainment center, my first IKEA bookshelf, my computer desk, the table that sat the computer on it, the couch, my bed, my headboard. Mom's furniture all survived. We had Mom's mahogany furniture from the Philippines. She had custom made in the Philippines, and we had that in our bedroom. And it was so heavy duty that the drawers didn't even swell to get them in and out. We took all of the drawers out. We wiped down all of the furniture with Murphy's oil soap. We even flipped it over, and you got to wipe the parts that, the underside and stuff. You have to do all that as well. Inside, we pulled all the drawers and wiped out all the insides. But this thing was finished so beautifully, and it stood the test of time. So she has that in her room now. And, oh boy. The 2 white dressers that are in the guest room. I know you didn't have the guest room tour yet, but the 2 white dressers that are in the guest room, but the rest of the furniture that was with that set, we don't have anymore. Actually, that's not true. It's just a laundry hamper from that set. And the 2 bottom drawers. Jim just thought we were throwing everything out, so he threw out the drawers, and I was like, no, if it's not broken, we're not throwing it out, you know? My sofa bed from the guest room. I had a low trunk in the guest room. Just so much stuff, and it's not like devastating to me. It's just stuff, but it's hard because you pay for it and you collect it and you're like, you know, you see your money and you know, that part, you know, you work hard to get these things, and so it's not devastating. It's just disappointing, I think. Oh, but this vlog is all over the place, isn't it? It is, yes. So now that I've done all this talking, what are we going to talk about on the live stream? Well, thank you for joining me. If you have something you want me to do for you, and you've asked me before, you can go ahead and ask me again in the comments of this video. Because I'm going to take note. I do know about... like I said, what kind of tea I like. A tea chat, I think she called it. Or tea time. Tea time with Jeri. And I said, I'm nowhere near an expert. I just know what I know, and I know what I like. So that's what I'm going to share with you guys. And yeah, if you have any requests or anything you want to see or anything you want me to try to do, let me know. Or redo. If you want me to redo something. I had a lady who watched an early video from last year, and she was like, I can't really see what you're doing, and I realized you can't really see what I'm doing. And I don't know that, obviously while I was filming it, I had no idea you couldn't see what I was doing, but when I was editing, I was like, why am I, but I was new, and I was like, well, I'm not going to lose all this footage to see what we can see. So I apologize if you watch something that's old. I've only been doing this for... It's April, right? So I've only been doing this for 17 months now. So forgive me if you see something from last year, because I was very new at videography. So hopefully I've improved a little bit on that. I know every once in a while I bump the camera or something and I lose footage, but mostly I try to get you good angles and get you good shots. So there's that. Yeah, so if you have any ideas, let me know. Okay? And thank you. Thank you for all of your concern and your love and support for everything we're going through. And if you have any... Gosh, I'm just in a slump. I don't want to say any ideas, but anyway. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me on this crazy babble.